House Deputy Speaker Ronaldo Puno says House Speaker Martin Romualdez is resigning from his post. In a radio interview on Wednesday morning, September 17, Puno says Romualdez recommended to party leaders that they vote for House Deputy Speaker Faustino Boji D. III as a replacement for the Speaker. D ran under the same party as President Bongbong Marcos. According to Puno, Romualdez's resignation had already been under discussion weeks ago. Puno says party leaders had continued to convince Romualdez not to step down. They had stressed that the lower chamber could not afford to be unstable. But Puno says Romualdez wanted to protect the House's reputation amid ongoing controversies. Romualdez was firm in his intention to resign, prompting some party leaders to suggest that he instead take a leave for the time being. However, in a meeting on Tuesday, September 16, Romualdez announced his decision to resign instead of taking a leave. Puno says the House leader didn't want the public to think he was using his position to avoid scrutiny. According to Puno, Romualdez said taking a leave would make it seem that his decision to face allegations is insincere. Puno also says Romualdez emphasized he has nothing to be ashamed of and has done nothing wrong. Puno adds that Romualdez will focus on addressing the issues being thrown against him. He also remains as a congressman despite resigning as House Speaker. In February, 12 counts of falsification of legislative documents and 12 counts of graft complaints were filed against Romualdez and other lawmakers before the Office of the Ombudsman. The case stems from the alleged 241 billion pesos worth of supposed insertions in the 2025 national budget. Contractor couple Curly and Sara Discaya recently accused several House lawmakers of receiving a percentage of public funds supposedly allocated to infrastructure projects. Curly Discaya said that on top of lawmakers' request to a kickback was a 25% cut that would allegedly be given to Romualdez and Ako Bicol Party List Representative Elizalde Co. Tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 is raised over several areas as tropical depression Mirasol continues to traverse northern Luzon. In its 11 a.m. bulletin on Wednesday, September 17, Pag-asa says Mirasol was last spotted crossing the vicinity of Alfonso Lista, Ifugao. Mirasol carries maximum sustained winds of 55 km per hour and gustiness of up to 90 km per hour. Signal number 1 is up over 17 areas in northern Luzon where strong winds may bring minimal to minor threat to life and property. Meanwhile, heavy rains are expected over 12 provinces in northern Luzon until Thursday noon, September 18, while intense rains are forecast over Cagayan and Isabela. Pag-asa warns of flooding and landslides in these areas due to the downpour. The agency forecasts Mirasol to move north-northwestward while traversing northern Luzon. Mirasol is expected to re-emerge over the Luzon Strait on Wednesday afternoon or evening. According to Pag-asa, Mirasol will likely intensify into a tropical storm when it re-emerges over the Luzon Strait. With its intensification, Pag-asa says hoisting of signal number 2 is possible over some portions of northern Luzon. Pag-asa says Mirasol will continue moving northwestward until it exits the Philippine Area of Responsibility on Thursday morning or afternoon. President Bongbong Marcos is urging newly promoted generals and flag officers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines to bolster their presence in the country's air, land, and sea territories. Marcos makes this call in his speech during the oath-taking ceremony of AFP personnel at the Malacanang Palace on Wednesday, September 17. In his speech, Marcos reminds the AFP leaders to set an example.
Now that you have taken your oaths, remember, set an example for the young men and women who will look to you for your leadership. These new stars you carry will demand your utmost discipline, honor, and service. And as your Commander-in-Chief, I call on you to continue to strengthen our presence in the air, on land, and at sea.
The President vows that the government will provide AFP personnel with the benefits and resources they need to focus on their duties. Marcos also emphasizes that the AFP's loyalty should remain with the Constitution and the Filipino people.
Huwag kalimutan, ang panunumpa ninyo ngayon ay sa Republika at sa bawat Pilipinong nagtitiwala na dahil sa inyo, sila ay mabubuhay ng ligtas at may dangal. Today is not only a milestone, but a renewed pledge that your loyalty remains with the Constitution and the Filipino people. Always act with integrity, uphold the rule of law, defend our democracy.
Marcos expresses gratitude to the AFP for their humanitarian assistance and disaster response operations in the country, as well as their aid to earthquake victims in Myanmar in March. He likewise recognizes their participation in recent joint and multinational exercises and other engagements with partners across the Indo-Pacific.